to another episode of Raising Tech. Today, I'm joined by my friend Heather Tussing, the president of the Aspenwood Company. Heather is an experienced senior living leader. She's passionate about senior living. I've gotten to know Heather, gosh, probably what now? 5 years, six
Yeah.
years, 7 years,
Oh,
something
wow.
like that, Heather? Yeah, a while. And you've always just engaged with me with a smile and just smart dialogue, Heather. And I'm just so appreciative. And it's just been awesome to see your rise to now the president of the Aspenwood Company and forever rooting for you and just so excited to have you on today. So thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. And the feelings are mutual. I'm so grateful to know you.
Yeah, and it's been really cool with Aspenwood because I know with like your communities are thoughtfully located in the most attractive, highly desirable neighborhoods throughout the southeastern United States. And I know you're choosing sites close to the vibrant entertainment,
Mhm.
cultural, and recreational opportunities with easy access to care. So kudos to you guys. And I know I visited a community and you guys definitely live up to it. So appreciate that as well.
Thank you. It's
Um,
exciting.
Yeah. So Heather, we're going to spend some time today talking about technology. And to start, I would just love to hear from your perspective. How have you seen technology evolve in our space in the last 5 years? And if there have been any really big surprises or shifts that you've seen?
I think technology has grown so much. I mean, there's just so much more available in technology, even a technology that I used in 2009 when I was an executive director, a similar technology now, like somebody presented it to me and all the bugs were worked out. It's much more user friendly. It's just there's less equipment, it's smarter. So we have come, I mean, I feel like as an industry, it has come so far. And one of the things that I love that was a huge challenge in the past is that those that are often working in senior living, like selling the technology, they now have an understanding of senior living. For many years early on, I felt like I was coaching them and teaching them senior living, and I feel like that's not the case anymore, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, it's a good thing to call out because I definitely have seen, being in the industry myself now for 10 years, all on the vendor side. There's definitely been some people who have stuck around on the vendor side to understand this
Right.
business. And like, I remember my first couple of weeks in the industry, someone mentioning like Brookdale to me. I'm like, who's that? Right. Like, I know with Aspenwood, like you guys are clearly leaning into innovation. I know there's articles coming out about how you guys are doing this. But
Mhm.
I know you have also expressed a thoughtful skepticism about jumping
Yeah,
on trends like AI without a plan, right? The buzziest of buzzwords out there.
it is. It's
Um,
everywhere.
Everywhere. Every vendor company I see is now promoting it as like one of their main marketing lines, but there's definitely
Uh-huh.
a wide spectrum of how people are incorporating it. But
Mhm.
I'm wondering like how do you approach evaluating new technologies to ensure that they're in line with your mission?
Sure. So I think that it has to align with the mission, and as well as it has to align, and part of our mission is making sure that everything makes sense for our residents and our team members, right? And that's a big part of it. So a lot of technology can do a lot of great things, and you could have all the technology platforms in the world, but it has to be beneficial to both our residents or members and our team members. And that's really what I look for, is that if it's a win-win for both. And especially with staffing and so forth, if we can have some smart technology that allows our team members to have more purposeful, more intentional time with our residents or our members, then I'm all for that. And that's what we're looking for. And that's what we've been able to dig into. And things that will really drive in a lot of integration is important, looking at things that integrate so that we're making smarter decisions with all the information in one dashboard. Like those are just the key things. We can only expect people are not going to go into dashboard after dashboard. It's just not realistic. So making sure that the technology is benefiting our residents and members, but it's also benefiting our team members and it's making sense overall. Obviously, it needs to make sense at the home office level as well, that it's beneficial. But my primary concern is that it's making sense at the community level.
Yeah, it's a good thing to call out. I mean, I think to your point, right? Like, how do we make this win-win and integrate? I think if I've noticed a big trend over the last 5 years, it is this idea around integration.
Hmm.
I've been on the technology vendor side. Now I'm kind of more in the role of playing with all the different technologies out
Yes.
there. And there's definitely some companies out there that like to play nice in the sandbox. But I think when they're working from a spirit of how do we make life easier for your staff to make life better for the residents, right? Like that's the key ingredient. Because, I remember one time presenting to a group a couple years ago. Someone in the audience raised their hand. They had 16 different apps on their phone to do
Oh,
their
wow.
job and nothing talked to one another. So it's like, what are
That's
what are
not
we doing here?
realistic. It's not
Yeah, it's
realistic. It's not going to be sustainable, and we're not going to use all that technology we're paying for then.
Exactly. And I see that being a big thing too, of just like optimizing the current technology spend of what you are paying for and making sure that you're
Yeah.
maximizing those systems and going about that.
When we're evaluating technology, we look at the integration capacity, like how willing are they to play with others? What does the integration look like? And that is how we choose it. If I'm selecting it's a new technology now and they're not willing to integrate, or if they make it extremely difficult, then we're just passing on that technology. There will be a different vendor who can do something similar.
For sure. I completely agree with that. And, I'm wondering too, from like the technology standpoint, because I know you guys have recently embraced like or piloting fall detection and remote
Yeah,
monitoring. Some of these tools can detect things like UTIs and early onset diabetes, which is crazy how
it's
technology can get
amazing.
that. But I'm wondering like how are residents and families responding to these tools and just wondering like how they're thinking about it as they're
I think that they are embracing it. I mean, it's a safeguard, right? It's just one additional thing that we can put in place to keep our residents and members safe, which is going to increase their longevity. It's going to increase their health and well-being. Anybody wants to stay out of the hospital if at all possible, including myself. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win all around. One of the interesting trends that I have seen is that in our luxury communities, individuals are a little more skeptical than on our mid-luxury communities, which I think is interesting. And I asked one of our vendor partners about
Hmm.
it, and they said that that's something that they've seen as well. So obviously, it's just overcoming that, but it has still been embraced. It's just slightly less percentage wise than in our mid luxury. Well, we'll have 100% participation, because we want to get that to that in our luxury communities as well, because obviously we want everybody to live a fulfilled, purposeful life. And part of that is maintaining safety.
Yeah, it's so important. I feel like it's one of those tools that just allows people to be smarter in a lot of these scenarios too. As we keep talking about the baby boomers and them retiring and moving to these communities, they already have that technology appetite. So I just feel like the technology acceptance is going to be continuing to up and to the right. And to your point of like getting to 100%, it's inevitable, right? It's just a matter if that happens the next 12 months, the next 2 years, right? I do
Yeah, we're
think,
going to get there. And
yeah.
as individuals talk and residents talk, families talk, I mean, they're going to, the adoption continues to increase. And I think that it's important as well to when you're implementing these, you need to work with a partner who's going to work with you to help it be successful. And that's what we've seen so far in all of our implementations and throughout the process, as we've seen our vendors as a partner. So they're helping educate our team members, they're helping educate our families, they're helping us be better at what we're doing, but they're not like slapping our hands when we make a mistake, because any new technology you roll out, there's going to be a bump in the road, whether on our side or on the vendor side. It's inevitable. You're humans working with humans and adding technology into it. It's how you have that partnership and that relationship that makes it be successful in the long run.
Yeah, and it brings up a good question here because I know you kind of mentioned in the beginning when you're like kind of looking at these technology companies and like what integrates or like how does it align with your mission? How does it help quality of life? I'm wondering if there's like anything else that you look for in a tech partner to really just ensure that successful integration and adoption across your communities.
Well, I definitely check not just the references they provide, but I also check with partners. I'll reach out to you sometimes. Like I reach out to different individuals who either are using the technology or know of the technology, and so that way I can not just check out the references they provide, because similar to somebody interviewing for a role, the references they provide are probably going to be pretty good references. So I, not that I'm a naysayer, but I want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence. I owe it to my residents and my communities to make sure I do my due diligence. So I'm going to check references above and beyond what they provide me to get the real details and to hear the bumps in the road, because I'm okay with that. I'm okay with challenges. I just want to hear how they handle the challenge.
Yeah, that's it's a great point. I always like to tell people if they are gonna look into some technology platforms or even just like hiring, right? Like those backdoor references are so important because a lot of the
So
time the references that people give you are incentivized to get a good reference, whether it's there's definitely some I've seen like cost savings, I've seen favors, right? Like for people to
right.
be references. So to your point of like finding those people and I think your point too as challenges are going to come up. Speed bumps are going to come up. It's inevitable. To
It's
think that there's
mhm.
not, and a salesperson is going to tell you that there's not, don't believe them. But like
No,
to your point, like how are they going to respond? I remember I've worked with people in the past when I was that technology vendor where I had people be like, "Hey Matt, I'll work with you because I know if we do come across a problem, you're going to do everything you can to get it fixed, right?" Like, and I
right.
think at the end of the day, that's what providers should be looking for in these vendors. And it's been interesting too from what I've seen, Heather. I see more and more companies trying to break into senior living. They see it a B2B play as like an easy win for their technology,
Yeah.
but they really need to approach it as a partnership versus this vendorship, which I think some people are kind of stuck in that
Definitely a
mentality.
partnership because we're going to make mistakes too. Like on the rollout, there's going to be a mistake on the operator side as well. It's inevitable. A community is going to do something different than what we had hoped, or the letter's not going to get sent out on time. I mean, there's going to be a mistake. It happens. It's a busy world. It's a busy work environment. It's how, it's not finger pointing, it's working together. The collaboration is what makes a difference.
Amen. You
In a
gotta give
relationship, forming a relationship.
For sure. I gotta give you like a mic to drop after that, Heather. But it's so true. It's so true. And I know in the article that kind of like prompted this interview, you had mentioned in it that like, you're using AI to better understand resident preferences and then like personalize their sales journey, which I think is just so cool how you're
Yeah.
able to do that. I'm just wondering if you could share a story or an example where this approach really helped to connect with a resident or a family.
So with having our technology communicate, so we were able to ensure, anything new, like a resident member moving in, they can know they need to move in. They may even be looking forward to moving in. Maybe it's become overwhelming, they need to downsize. But change is inevitably hard. Just like it was hard when we went off to college, right? We were excited to go to college, but it's a new place and you don't know the restaurants. Like it's still a change, right? So we have to understand that even if they're excited and some aren't excited to come to senior living, but even if they are excited, it's still going to be a change. So we want to make sure we have our CRM communicating with our technology, our life enrichment platform, so that we know their preferences, we know what they like, we know what they dislike, so that we can pair them up with other individuals who have similar likes and dislikes, so that we're kind of putting them in, like they're going to develop their own relationships, but let's give them a head start on that from when they first come into the community. And also, if there's a way that we can incorporate an activity and programming that we know they're going to enjoy, let's do that. Let's make that first day memorable for them and have it be a positive memory, not a negative memory, which is also potential to have happen.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think what I see is like a huge opportunity with technology to your point, right? Like if you can kind of team up residents to find people with like similar likes and similar
Yeah,
that stuff, like people from what I always tell people is like people aren't gonna leave their friends. And if you're able to create these bridges that might have been built 3 months down the line today, right? Like it just helps people to
right,
kind of connect on that different level and start to create those relationships and really improve that social well-being. Because I mean, at the end of the
for
day,
sure.
that's what I think a lot of people want to move into these communities outside of the needs-based stuff. But like, how do we just create more relationships and more
Right.
friendships with the people that we look at and are like, hey, that's me, right?
Right. And
Um,
there was a recent survey came out. Please help correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Argentum, but I could be wrong, or it was either Argentum or Austria came out with an amazingly complex, detail-oriented survey. And it showed that one of the main things that contributes to their happiness in a community, and it looked at IL, memory care, was the sense of community. So not the community
mm,
itself per se, really, like they could say they want a pool, and maybe they do want to pull. That for certain people that's not going to be important, but more so was the companionship and the friendship is what's important, and feeling like they belong somewhere is what's important. So we need to set that up from the start because we want those first few days, weeks, months to give them that sense of belonging and not a sense of belonging that they feel 12 months in, because
yeah.
that could be a lonely 12 months.
Very lonely 12 months. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
I don't know who came out with that. I'll try and link it in the show notes here, but it's such a good point, right? Like that sense of belonging. At the end of the day, that's what we're all just craving for as human beings, right? And
For sure.
it's kind of cool how technology can kind of help free up some of that burden of like the time spent in order to do that, to minimize the amount of time it takes for these people to connect at a personal level.
Yeah.
And I know, as I think through the article talking about like saving time, something stood out to me of like how you're focusing on empowering your internal team, like using different platforms. And I'm just wondering like how tech has helped free up some of your leaders and caregivers to do more of what matters.
Well, let's start with caregivers because they are frontline team members, and those are the
Yes.
individuals I really want to free up time for so that they can spend more meaningful, purposeful time with our residents and members. So for my team members, just some of the fall technology we've implemented, and again, using the AI technology, it has really freed up to where they can know somebody is in bed, they're safe, and their respirations are within where they should be. And so if it's an individual who is independent and toileting, for example, they don't need to check on them every 2 hours then. We can extend that to where that we're not waking somebody up to where they can, just like a hospital stay, right? If somebody's coming in and out of your room commute continuously, if we're going in and out of their apartment continuously, it may not be the best rest for them. And then rest is important, right? I wear the Oura ring because rest is important to me, prioritizing sleep. But if we're able to use that technology to really maximize our potential and really give our team members the time to spend with residents doing what they love to do and probably why they joined senior living to begin with, then that's a win-win all around. And also for our leadership teams and our executive directors and so forth to really have all of our data coming into a data dashboard to where they can look at what's key to them. And one of the things that I love is our ability to prioritize what's most important for that community. Every community does not have the same challenges. Every community is somewhat unique. So let's prioritize what we want that community, what that community needs to focus on. Because if you give them everything to look at, they're going to look at nothing. So you have to
Mm.
prioritize and give them what's most important for them to be successful, to see additional success in that community. And I think that's what technology gives us the ability to do. Free up people's time to do what they got into senior living to do. They didn't get into senior living to sit at a desk all day. They got in, and that's not what residents want. Residents want to see team members out and about in the community, and they want to have those relationships. Relationships are what make a community successful.
Yeah, it goes back to something I always talk about whenever I'm, on the conference speaking circuit and like the power of AI and
Mhm.
technology, right? It's like automate the mundane to elevate the
Mhm.
meaningful. And when I think of the meaningful, especially in senior living, it's like those one-on-one interactions, it's spending time with whether our team or the residents or the families and just helping to cut out some of that burden in the background, tracking down all the most accurate data, right? If you can have it one-stop
Exactly.
shopping and you have trust and faith in that data, you can just make decisions quicker and really, again, maximize what should be important in the communities today.
And that'll have
Um,
the biggest impact.
yeah, the biggest impact. I love it. And my last question here for you, Heather, as someone who's helping to shape what's next in senior living, I'm wondering like where do you see the biggest opportunities for industry or for innovation, and what's still holding the industry back?
I think for innovation is continuing to have those integrations. So having the integrations where systems talk to each other, they'll flow into a singular dashboard. That does exist to a degree, but there's definitely room for improvement and for growth there. And that's important because again, that is just going to help us give individuals some time back to where they can do other things that are going to be more beneficial to the residents, members, and the organization. So that's a key. Where do I see the industry going? I think it's going to continue to improve. Look how far we've come since back in the COVID era, right?
Yeah,
We have come so far, and I am just so excited for the continued growth, for the talent entering senior living. I'm excited by that. I love seeing those individuals that came over from hospitality and have remained in senior living. They came over because hospitality was a difficult. I mean, senior living, we had different challenges during COVID, but we still had a need, right? Hospitality, in some states shut down. So to see all those individuals in hospitality come over to senior living and stay, and that additional knowledge, I love it when people come to senior living from other industries because they come with information, knowledge, expectations that help the senior living industry grow and be better and have higher standards. And I think that's amazing because we are providing care. That's so important. And that is at the core of oftentimes of what we do. But that there is so much above and beyond that's important for the empowerment and the purposefulness and the enjoyment of our residents and team members' lives that we have to have those other individuals coming from other industries to be better. And that's what I'm excited about seeing continue to occur.
I love it. Well, Heather, it's no wonder you continue to win all these awards and you guys are just absolutely crushing it. And, I'm so grateful in this industry there are leaders like you. So keep up the good work, my friend.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you.
You can find us online at raisingtechpodcast.com, where you can see all of our episodes and contact us to provide feedback or submit an episode idea. We are on social media everywhere at Raising Tech Podcast. If you enjoy Raising Tech, please leave us a review and share with a friend. Music is an original production by Tim Riesig, one of our very own Parasol Alliance employees. As always, thank you for listening.